Hey guys, this is the Diamond Dad. In this video, we're going to cover all things Hedron. What is it? How does it work? And how do you, as a staker, get a hold of this free airdrop? Hedron is a smart contract that allows you to wrap new hex stakes inside of a wrapper. You take your hex and you push it through the contract of Hedron to create a stake. And when you do, that stake has a wrapper on it, and that comes with some new features. That's just imagery is what I'm using there. This wrapper is called Hedron. This adds new features to your hex stake in what is known as a stake instance, or HSI. New features include Hedron minting, tradable stakes, and Hedron borrowing. Some new terms that we need to be familiar with. First is native stake, or an NS. These are any stakes made directly with the hex contract. So any previous stakes that have been made, those are native stakes, or any hex moving forward, any stakes moving forward that don't use the Hedron contract. Those are going to be native stakes. Next, next is the hex stake instance, which is the HSI, which is the wrapped stake hex. These are stakes made exclusively with the Hedron smart contract. Native stakes cannot be converted to HSI and vice versa. So if you have a native stake, you can't convert that into an HSI. And if you had an HSI, you can't reverse that process and turn it into a native stake. So Hart standard, does it follow the Hart standard? It's immutable, yes. Transparent, only traded on the blockchain, yes. Trustless, yes. Does Hedron pay yield? No. The smart contract of Hedron does not offer any sort of yield because it's wrapped around something that pays yield. So does this pay yield? No, the smart contract itself doesn't pay yield. So technically it doesn't fit the Hart contract, the fourth part of the Hart contract, or the Hart standard of paying yield, but technically it's because it's wrapped itself around something that pays yield, which is hex. So Hedron minting, the first feature that we're going to look at, this is available to both native stakes and the hex staked instance, which is the HSI and the NS. Okay, Hedron can be minted from your stake based on your total B shares multiplied by the days served in that stake. This is the only way Hedron can be minted. This gives you a new coin, HDRN. It's the ticker of Hedron. This can be traded just like other coins in a DEX. It's subject to the rise and fall of an openly traded cryptocurrency. There's other features to this coin outside of speculation, but we'll cover that later. Any stake you can mint Hedron off of. Even NS stakes moving forward, or old NS or HSI. Both of those stakes you can mint from. So exactly how does the minting work? I'm using the example of 1 T-share staked for 15 years, right? You can see there at the left, it says 1 T-share. On the right, it says 3 T-shares because you get the bigger pays better bonus, which is ultimately if you staked 1 T-share for 15 years, you actually have 3 T-shares. Then over here, we have the start and the end. And then we did say that this stake has gone 200 days. Obviously, I know that's probably too far past 200. Just go with me. So the blue is the first equation, which is 200. How many days has your hex stake elapsed? Next is a number that is the amount of T shares that equal your B shares. Now, if you only have B shares, then you just calculate your B shares. But if you have T shares, which some of us do, you can see there what a T share equals, which is 1,000 B shares. Okay, so since we have 3 T shares, the second part of the equation is 3,000. Okay, so it's 200 times 3,000 gives you amount of Hedron that you can mint from the contract. Now, there's a little bonus section in there, and that's important because at different times, Hedron will offer bonuses to minting called the advance to mint ratio, the AMR. There will also be a launch bonus that starts at 10x, then goes down by 1 point or 1x every 10 days. So there'll be 100 days that you'll be able to claim your Hedron, and that 10x goes down by 1x every 10 days. There's a lot of tens, but hopefully that made sense. So right now, technically, if you minted today, you would get, and this was your stake, you would get 200 times 3,000 times 10. If you mint later, you would just fill in that bonus multiplier. This bonus is only offered for the first 100 days, but there is something called an AMR, an advance to mint ratio, that will offer bonuses at different times in the contract. I think that they offer these bonuses to try to help inflation of Hedron, I believe. But hopefully that makes sense. Also, you can see up there, it's kind of faded out, but what's left in the stake is another 16 million Hedron that you're able to mint. And how it works is if you say you minted this bonus of 200 times 3,000, you come back after 24 hours or one Hedron day. I think it is the same day of like your T-share payout. The next day you would have used 200, but you'd be on day 201. So you would actually be able to mint 1 times 3,000 times whatever bonus that is, if that makes sense. I'm just actually thinking of this right now, big brain logic. One of the smartest things you could possibly do is to wait till the last day of the 10x bonus to mint your Hedron, because it costs gas in order to mint your Hedron. So it might make sense to wait till the last day of the 10x to mint your Hedron if that's what you're deciding to do. So what's left in the stake is 16,065. And how did I calculate that? Well, it's the days left times 3,000, times 3,000 doesn't include the bonus. So you could constantly mint Hedron for free at any time. Not for free, it costs gas, but you can constantly get Hedron from your stakes over the life of the stake. And you do that by how much time has elapsed in the stake. So here's the second feature. And this is available to only HSI stakes. Okay, it's important to understand this is only HSI. As mentioned before, the smart contract of Hedron allows you to take liquid hex, push them through the wrapper of Hedron when you start new stakes. You can then run the tokenize function to convert the stake into an NFT, and this can be traded on your favorite NFT market. So you can literally turn your HSI stake into an NFT and trade it on OpenSea. Okay, so what is the functionality of this? Say you have a 15-year stake. Hedron will allow you to tokenize that stake and trade it on an open market. Now, what's the value of that? The market is going to decide, but you could sell that stake to somebody else instead of emergency end staking, right? It gives you an option to access some of that money, some of that value without emergency end staking. A stake advance. This is HSI only. You cannot take an advance on an NS stake. This feature, you can loan out additional Hedron in the form of an advance. We'll go over exactly how that happens in just a second. This comes with a repayment term in the form of interest. Interest is said to be below 2%. I couldn't find the exact info. I've heard like 1.3, 1.6, I can't remember. But important thing, and this was one of my beasts with Hedron originally, I was like, oh, great, then these people are just going to keep making money off of loans. Actually, no entity benefits from the repayment, but instead those payments are burnt. Okay, those payments are burnt. It's one of the way Hedron fights inflation is with the repayment terms of their advances. You must make this payment at least once every 90 days to prevent your stake from going into default. Defaulted stakes go up for auction and can be bid for with Hedron. This auction house will exist on the Hedron.pro front end. So if you default on your loan and you don't pay for it for 90 days, your stake will go up for auction. And one of the ways you can get that stake is you can bid for it with Hedron. So going with the previous example, in advance would make all the remaining Hedron in your stake available to pull out in one lump sum. So in advance would be that 16 million that's left in that stake of Hedron, and you could take that as an advance. And then every 90 days, you would have to pay back 1.6% of that in interest. You're not paying back the loan at all. You're paying interest on that loan. And until you pay back the principal of that loan or bring all the Hedron you borrowed back, no bonuses are available for advances. Okay, you cannot qualify for a bonus in an advance. So uses for the ticker Hedron, just like the coin. Okay, Hedron is a speculative asset like many cryptos. It can be traded on your favorite DEX. The inflation rate, trading pairs, and circulation will affect the price. This is a normal cryptocurrency. It's not a stable coin. It can go up and down in value based on the network effect and all of the things that we know that make cryptocurrencies go up and down. Hedron is the only way to bid on defaulted stakes. Okay, we went over that earlier, but it's good to know. If a stake goes into default, you can only bid for that stake with Hedron. With this said, you can swap any crypto on a DEX for Hedron, then use that for auctions, if that makes sense. Maybe there's a stake going up for auction and you don't have any Hedron because you're not into that. You could go swap some USDC or whatever for Hedron and use that to bid on a expiring stake or a defaulted stake. And that's one of the way that buy pressure might enter the market on the Hedron token itself. Hedron is used to pay the terms of your advance or pay off your advance. The smart contract of Hedron does not accept any other crypto for payment. I think that's obvious, but that's one of the uses of Hedron ticker. Hedron will also get copied onto Pulse, and any minted Hedron before the fork will be copied. So how to mint? How do we mint this Hedron? Okay, there's two ways to interact with the contract with your native stake: claiming and minting. Okay, they're two different things and they're important to understand. Claiming allows you to unlock the current bonus and lock it in for the remainder of the life of the stake. So you can claim the 10x bonus in your stake without actually minting any Hedron. You might decide to choose this option for a few reasons. One, Hedron will offer other bonuses down the road in the form of an AMR, and this will stack with any other bonuses attached to the stake. So maybe you want to hold because you want another AMR bonus to come down the road, and you want to mint then to like double, triple, quadruple, or whatever. Okay, those bonuses will stack. So that is a little bit of game theory there. This might be a taxable event. I personally have no idea. Okay, some people say it's inflation rewards, some people say it's not. So by minting the Hedron, it might be a taxable event. That's one reason why people might not mint Hedron on day one. These bonuses do copy, so don't feel any pressure to mint pre-fork. Okay, so I clarified, I asked the question, I said, hey, if I claim a bonus on my stake and that stake gets copied onto Pulse, will that I still have that bonus attached? And the answer is yes. I went earlier to get some screenshots for this video, and minting and claiming both take gas. Okay, so if you want to claim in your stake, it does take gas. Okay, and it's about the cost of like a stake, so anywhere from $11 to $20. All right, I wanted to quickly go over exactly how you're going to mint your Hedron. You're going to go to hedron.pro, hedron.pro. You're going to go click this little button called Mint Your Hedron, or you're going to go up to this Hedron dApp. Click here, mint your Hedron. Looks like your MetaMask is locked, so you're going to need to connect your wallet. Extremely easy. Connect, next, connect. Hedron is going to go into a read-only state. It's going to read your MetaMask. Looks like no hex stakes are found. I obviously don't have any hex stakes, but I'm going to include some screenshots here that are going to show you exactly what it's going to look like. It's going to have a little action tab all the way to the right. This kind of tricked me at first because there's a scroll. Maybe you have too small of a window where you're zoomed in too far and you can't find it. Scroll to the right. It's going to have an action button. You're going to click on that action button and you're going to have two options: claim and mint. We know what those two options are because we just covered that in the video. Understand that each one of those does cost gas if you want to claim or you want to mint. Claim is going to lock in your bonus forever you are right now. Mint is going to extract the value from Hedron contract and it's going to place that Hedron into your account. So remember, it might be worth waiting till the end of the 10 days to mint. That way you can mint the highest amount of days in your stake. You'll get another 9 days. Obviously, you can go back to Hedron and you can mint again, but it may not make sense depending on how much Hedron you're getting and how much gas it will cost. Obviously, this will be much easier on Pulse. Personal opinion. Warning, we are leaving the realm of facts and entering the realm of opinion. First, I want to make it crystal clear. I want to honor the development team, founders, admins, and everyone that has been working on this project. You are attempting to add value to the Heart ecosystem, and that should be respected. Just a quick rant. Can people stop bitching about people attempting to add value to the Heart ecosystem? People are allowed to try to build projects, and they're also allowed to charge for those projects. They're allowed to charge anything they want, okay? This is called the free market. If you don't want people participating in the free market, move to China. I'm sure you'll have a great time there with all your commie buddies. Stop fudding everyone that tries to build something new. If you don't like something, don't use it. It's that simple. The beauty of a free market is the market will decide whether it's a valuable asset to the community or not. We don't need people out there just running their mouth about how terrible people are for building things. What are you doing? Sitting around on your butt and making YouTube videos? Stop being a critic and start being a builder. Build things or be quiet and stop being a commie. I will get off my soapbox now. What I like. These are some things that I like about Hedron. Long stakes. Hedron could promote long stakes, like it could. Because we have an option of trading our stake on the open market after tokenized or extracting value from that stake via an advance, it may promote longer stakes, right? The reason why we do 1 year, 2 year, 3 year stakes is because we want that money. We want it. We don't want to be looking at gains that are 15 years in the future, and we may need to put diapers on our babies. Hedron might solve this by allowing us to trade that stake later if we really want to, or extract value via the advance system. Also, we can just get free money by minting off that stake. So, because of that, every time you stake, you might be inclined to just throw it out 15 years. Hedron might promote long stakes. Cool. It might reduce sell pressure. If a stake is traded or advanced, this means that sell pressure is hitting different markets and not HEX. This is a good thing. Okay, does that make sense? Say someone needs money bad and they have a HEX stake and it's got like a year left and they're like, you know what? I just need some cashola. So what do? They EES, they get that HEX and they sell it on the market. That's where dips come from, is people selling their HEX. So Hedron might solve this by giving people other options than emergency end staking their bag and selling it on the market to the highest bidder. It could reduce sell pressure. Sounds like a good ad to me. The network effect. This could open HEX to a larger market. Contrary to popular belief, not everyone likes the commitment of a stake. Some people just don't want to delay gratification, and that's okay. That's okay, right? 15-year stakes are not for everybody. Now, they're for me, and they're for a lot of my friends, and there are a lot of people that I think understand finances, but they're not for everybody, and that's okay. And some people might find the options of Hedron very attractive and might make them want to invest in HEX now because they have options, okay? A stake is like traditional marriage, you know, where you enter the marriage and there's no exit strategy, and it's like, all right, we're in this till the end, you know? Hedron is like a modern marriage that you kind of like enter it and you're like, this thing's probably going to be over in 3 to 5 years, but you know what? It was good while it lasted. So pick your poison. I prefer traditional marriage. A new tool in the belt. For me, Hedron will not replace HEX, but instead be a way for me to continually diversify. I will absolutely do some stakes in the Hedron contract. And when I do those stakes, they will be 15 years. That just makes sense to me. Why would I do anything else? So I won't do all of my stakes through Hedron, and that's okay. But I do think it's a tool in the belt to help diversify, because a Hedron wrapped HEX stake is not a traditional stake. They're two different things. And they act differently inside the portfolio, and both of them can be very advantageous at different times. So it might be worth having a bunch of HEX stakes and a few Hedron stakes, or it might make sense for you to have primarily Hedron stakes and a few HEX stakes, okay? Some people will just do one or the other. That's fine. You do what you want to do with your money. The important thing is that you do your own research, right? So what do I think? I remain a bit skeptical. Not because of the team, the code, or the vision behind it. I'm skeptical because it's trying to change one of the core principles that makes HEX so good, the truth engine. HEX does not just encourage good financial behavior, it forces us into it. Unfortunately, we are creatures of habit, and most of our habits are formed over long periods of time. Our financial principles, saving strategies, investment portfolios, and overall financial stewardship come from our childhood experiences. This is why Rich Dad, Poor Dad is such an amazing read. It points out the reality of most people's experience and attempts to alter them through education. As most of us know, it takes a lot more than education to change. This is something HEX does extremely well. It forces us into healthy financial habits. In my opinion, this is the real secret sauce of HEX. Although Hedron adds some really good features on paper, it helps bypass the core of what makes HEX HEX, delayed gratification. I absolutely see Hedron for what it is, an incredibly well-designed contract attempting to add some really cool features to HEX. For that, I applaud the dev team. As for me, I'll keep it in my tool belt and will probably use it from time to time, but nothing will replace a native stake for me and my recruits. Until next time, I encourage you to continue to upgrade your gray matter, because one day it may matter. This is the Diamond Dad, and I'm signing off.